What is human geography? Human geography has almost nothing to do with physical geography, so don't confuse the two. The point of human geography is to study human activities, not natural forces. It's like history, except the key questions are different. Instead of asking why and when, human geographers ask why and where. Of course, it's hard to look only at when or where something happened, so there's a lot of crossing over between the two. When you look at a map in a history book, you're looking at something a human geographer made. Humans have been making maps for thousands of years, and we've come from stick charts to satellites. There have been many cartographers whose names you might recognize, like Herodotus, Ptolemy, and Pythagoras, but this video is focused on human geography, not history, so look up the history of cartography on your own time. Today's cartographers use what is called remote sensing, but what is also known as satellite imagery. With satellites, it's easy to see what you can't otherwise, the extent of deforestation, for example. But instead of looking directly at satellite images, human geographers use a geographic information system. It's a computer interface that allows the user to select what they want to view. There are many criteria: topography, political boundaries, population density, manufacturing, soil types, earthquake faults, hydrology, and forest cover, just to name a few. If you've ever played around with Google Maps or Google Earth, you've used a very simple geographic information system. When in print, most maps are flat. That's because it's more convenient to use a flat map on a piece of paper rather than something else. Since it's impossible to project a curved surface perfectly onto a flat one, maps are subject to distortion. There are 4 key kinds of distortion: shape, distance, relative size, and direction. Scientists have found creative ways to project the Earth onto a flat surface, but one or more of the distortions will always be present when looking at a large enough scale. But we have to learn to live with it. After all, you can't put a globe in a textbook. What do human geographers actually look at when looking at maps? There are 5 basic geographic concepts: space, place, region, scale, and connections. Thinking about place means looking at distribution, that is, the arrangement of a certain feature in a certain space. One of the components of distribution is density. Density is simply the amount of objects per area. People per square mile, houses per square kilometer, and income per square meter are all examples. Having more objects does not necessarily mean that the density will be higher, because you can consider different sizes of space. There are other kinds of densities, such as physiological density, agricultural density, and housing density. Human geographers exist to make sense of these numbers. A high physiological density might mean that the area has a hard time growing food for itself. Another trait human geographers look at is concentration, the spread over space. Concentration isn't like density because it's usually not just a number. Concentration is relative. It's not enough just to say something is moderately clustered. The specific details are important. For example, when considering the entire world as a sample size, nations with a low human development index are concentrated in the African continent. Another trait human geographers look at when looking at space is pattern. Pattern is this geometric arrangement of objects in a space. The best example of pattern is the arrangement of American land. The original Metes and Bounds surveys created a haphazard pattern of fields in the original 13 colonies of America. But in 1785, the Land Ordinance Act was passed, creating the rectangular arrangement of streets, fields, and cities in the form of blocks that we are so familiar with. That's it for this introductory video to human geography. Remember, I've barely scratched the surface of the topic. Of course, I encourage you to find out more. Thanks for watching.